All right, it is 6:45 a.m. getting ready for the early Vatican tour called the Pristine Sistine with Walks of Italy. We are here at this cafe on Via Candia, grabbing a little coffee before the tour begins. It's pretty bustling. There are a lot of people for this tour, so there are actually several groups going. Some have their tour with breakfast and some without. So let's go get checked in and make our way to the Vatican Museums. So this is really skip the line. We are just here at the entrance of the Vatican Museums and we're just breezing right in. This is one of the best reasons to take this tour. So we are here in the Cortile delle Carrozze. This means the courtyard of the carriages. And this is where we had our breakfast. Now, I got the scoop from our tour guide. She said if you book a breakfast tour of the Vatican Museums through the Vatican Museums website, your breakfast is going to be inside of the Pinecone courtyard. Whereas if you book a tour of the Vatican Museums that includes breakfast, but through an outside tour company such as Walks of Italy, your breakfast will be here in the Cortile delle Carrozze. Now, before we began this tour, we met at a cafe and everybody was sort of grabbing some coffee, and in the cafe there were pastries and other baked goods typical of any bar in Rome. And in theory, you could really just have your breakfast there. So in my opinion, doing this tour with breakfast is not really that exciting. You're gonna pay a little bit more, and it's not really for the cost, it's for the fact that I don't think that the breakfast is high enough quality to warrant spending your time inside of the Vatican Museums doing this. If I had booked this through the Vatican Museums, I would have had breakfast in the Pinecone courtyard. I'm not sure if the quality of the food would be any different. I've done their happy hour in the Pinecone courtyard, and the quality of that food is also pretty mediocre. It's more for the ambiance. A huge difference between booking this tour of the Vatican Museums through the Vatican Museums website or an outside tour company like Walks of Italy is that if you book through the Vatican Museums, yes, you get your breakfast inside the Pinecone courtyard if you book breakfast, but the tours of the Vatican Museums that you book through the Vatican Museums website do not include the shortcut to St. Peter's Basilica from the Sistine Chapel. And this tour with Walks of Italy, the Pristine Sistine, it actually does include the shortcut from the Sistine Chapel into St. Peter's Basilica. So breakfast aside, for me, that would be worth the difference between booking through the Vatican Museums and booking with them. That being said, today is a Wednesday, and this means the Pope is holding the papal audience in St. Peter's Square. And when the Pope holds the papal audience in St. Peter's Square, St. Peter's Basilica is closed to the public. And it opens up again after the audience, so around 12, 12:30, 1 o'clock, depending on when the crowds clear the square. And so whenever you book any tour of the Vatican Museums in the morning that should include the shortcut to St. Peter's Basilica, you should always check to see if it's on a Wednesday, because typically on Wednesdays, the tour will not go into St. Peter's Basilica. They will do something else, usually visit the Pinacoteca or Paintings Gallery. Now, if the Pope is not holding the papal audience, then they will go into the Basilica. For example, the Pope does not hold papal audiences in July, or he may be out of town. You can actually check the Pope's schedule on the Vatican website. And of course, you can double check with your tour company to make sure that the tour does in fact include the shortcut into the Basilica if that's something that you want to do. So if you take any tour that does not include the shortcut into St. Peter's Basilica from the Sistine Chapel, what that means is that you'll have to exit the museums back where you entered. And then you're going to have to walk all the way around the walls to get to St. Peter's Square, go through security again to get into the Basilica. You'll need about a half an hour just for that piece of logistics. Right, we are here in the octagonal courtyard, and as you can see, there are quite a few other tour groups in here, quite a few people. It is just now 9 o'clock, and the doors are opening to the general public at the entrance of the museum. So everybody you see here right now are people that booked these early morning tours. And believe me when I tell you that this is not crowded. So one of the joys of these early morning tours is getting to see the museums themselves without huge crowds. I won't be able to take pictures or video inside of the Sistine Chapel to show you how crowded or uncrowded it is. The guide explained to me that basically it's not going to be really uncrowded. It will be a little less crowded than it is during the day, during regular visiting hours. But really the only way to have that really exclusive Sistine Chapel experience is to take the Keymaster tour or the extra time tour. I'm super excited to see that they've actually opened up one of the animal rooms so we can go in and walk around. Let's check it out. So I've asked a couple of people on this tour and they're telling me that they're really happy with it. Our guide is wonderful. Again, this is one of the big differences between booking a tour through a private tour company and the Vatican Museums. With a private tour company, you're going to get probably a maybe more enthusiastic guide. With the Vatican Museums, you don't know who you're going to get. It's going to be somebody employed through the Vatican Museums, but they don't have to take quite as much care to hire really wonderful guides who are super enthusiastic and make the tour fun. So it's sort of a luck of the draw if you're going to get a great guide. But with a company like Walks of Italy or other tour companies that care that you have a good time, you're probably going to get a guide that makes it more fun. It's not too bad crowd-wise. We're able to find these little pockets. I can hear the guide without even using my whisper headphones. Our group is only 11 people big, so it is nice in that sense. I do think this early morning tour with Walks of Italy is a really good experience. Now, I don't think we're going to have this exclusive experience inside the Sistine Chapel, but the rest of the experience is wonderful, and I think it is worth it to come here early and have this much less crowded ambiance here inside of the galleries of the Vatican Museums. All right, we're here in the Maps Gallery, and this is the crowd situation. I think it's a pretty manageable crowd, so again, still worth it. All right, this is Gayla. She was on the tour with me. Gayla, can you just tell us a little bit about your experience today?
I love touring the Vatican, and the Sistine Chapel with the guide was incredible. I loved it, and I would highly recommend it.
And this early morning tour, did you think that it was uncrowded enough to enjoy it?
Absolutely, yes. I very much enjoyed it.
All right, thank you so much for sharing your experience.
You're welcome.
All right, that's the end of the tour. I'm outside of the Vatican Museums. It was a great tour. I really, really loved it. And as you can see, other people on the tour loved it as well. On this tour, we were not able to take the shortcut into St. Peter's Basilica. We came back to the entrance of the Vatican Museums and went out onto the terrace and had a little look at the gardens where we had had breakfast and at the Basilica. And then the guide gave us some ideas for other things to see inside of the Vatican Museums on our own. At this point, you are free to wander, and in theory, you could even go all the way back to the Vatican Museums and see the Sistine Chapel a second time. But by this point, you're pretty much done for the day, energy-wise. Now, in my opinion, this was an excellent tour. Our guide was fabulous. She was fun, she was nice, she was easy to be around, she made the tour interesting, and it was just a really good experience overall. So for lots more videos all about visiting the Vatican, check out my playlist right here.